Good morning and welcome back. This is World News coming to you live from Warsaw. I'm Ali Shamkhani. Iranian authorities confirmed on Sunday that Supreme Leader Ayatollah Ali Khamenei has been killed, along with the head of the Revolutionary Guard, General Mohammad Pakpour, and Senior Security Advisor Ali Shamkhani. Khamenei had led the country since 1989 as its second Supreme Leader following the Islamic Revolution. The Supreme Leader's death was first reported by Donald Trump, and a senior Israeli official said Khamenei's body was found in the rubble late on Saturday. According to U.S. sources familiar with the matter, the U.S. and Israeli timed the strike to coincide with a meeting the Supreme Leader was holding with his top aides. In a televised address, Speaker of the Iranian Parliament, Mohammad Pakpour, said this was an existential war for Iran, vowing revenge. He added that several scenarios had been prepared in the event of the Supreme Leader's death. Smoke plumes rose above Erbil's skyline on Sunday morning as the effects of US and Israeli strikes on Iran and Iran's missile retaliation reverberated across the skies of the region. The Iranian Revolutionary Guard Corps has pledged revenge for the killing of Supreme Leader Khamenei and says it has launched attacks on 27 bases hosting US troops in the Middle East, as well as Israeli military facilities in Tel Aviv. After the initial US-Israeli strikes on Saturday, Iran called the attack unprovoked and illegal and responded with missiles fired at Israel and 7 other countries, including Gulf states that host US bases. Trump said the strikes were aimed at ensuring Iran could not develop nuclear weapons, ending the decades-long threat. Fresh explosions were heard across the Gulf cities of Dubai, Doha and Manama this morning, following a day of Iranian strikes carried out in retaliation for US and Israeli attacks. In Dubai, witnesses said they heard the bangs after Iran launched waves of retaliatory attacks on neighboring Gulf states in response to US and Israeli strikes on the Islamic Republic on Saturday morning. Tehran has said it would target American bases in the region. It has hit a range of other targets. Since early morning, air raid sirens are heard across Israel as Iranian rocket barrages head towards Israel, Jerusalem and West Bank. President Donald Trump on Sunday morning warned Iran against increasing its military retaliation to the US and Israeli strikes. Posting on his Truth Social site, Trump said Washington could hit the Islamic Republic with a force never seen before.
Iran just stated that they are going to hit very hard today, harder than they have ever hit before. They better not do that, however, because if they do, we will hit them with a force that has never been seen before.
United Nations Secretary General António Guterres has called for an immediate end to hostilities in the Middle East. He told an emergency meeting of the UN Security Council that the military action risks triggering uncontrollable consequences in the region.
Mr. President, the US and Israel attacks occurred following the third round of indirect talks between the US and Iran, mediated by Oman. Preparations had been made for technical talks in Vienna next week, followed by a new round of political talks. I deeply regret that this opportunity of diplomacy has been squandered. Mr. President, third, the region and the world need a way out now. I call for de-escalation and an immediate cessation of hostilities. The alternative is a potential wider conflict with grave consequences for civilians and regional stability.
Escalating US and Israeli strikes on Iran are shaking the region, reviving a question long hanging over Tehran's rulers. Could this be the moment that brings real change to the Islamic Republic? As tensions explode on the ground and in global capitals, voices from Iran and the diaspora are now weighing in on what may come next.
US and Israeli strikes on Iran are sending shockwaves far beyond the battlefield, raising a question that has hovered over the Islamic Republic for decades. Could this finally trigger regime change?
To the great, proud people of Iran, I say tonight that the hour of your freedom is at hand. Stay sheltered. Don't leave your home. It's very dangerous outside. Bombs will be dropping everywhere. When we are finished, take over your government. It will be yours to take. This will be probably your only chance for generations.
And while some Iranians are critical of the U.S.-Israeli intervention, others are downright celebrating the attacks.
I am happy. No one wants war. The US and Israel have their interests, but there is no other way for the Iranian people to ever experience freedom.
Incredible. People are infinitely happy. Maybe 80%, over 80% of people are happy that they will one day be free.
Dancing and chanting, "Long live the Shah," a reference to the monarch overthrown in 1979, but whose legacy survives through the last Shah's son, Reza Pahlavi.
Despite the arrival of this aide, the final victory will still be fought by our hands. It is we, the Iranian nation, who will finish the job in this final battle. The time to return to the streets is near.
And as smoke rises over Tehran, some Iranians at home and abroad are rallying around the flag. But history shows that a regime change imposed from outside rarely follows a predictable script.
There are many, many scenarios, so I'll try to outline a few. One is that they wipe out the leadership, they decapitate the Revolutionary Guards, they disrupt their command and control, people go on the streets, there's widespread revolt, and the regime topples. That's obviously what Israel, the United States, and frankly many Arab countries would like to see happen.
Experts say that this could be the best-case scenario. Alternatively,
this is what happened in Iraq. If you recall, the United States came in and took out Saddam Hussein, but the country splintered into various groups and has been in semi-violent conflict within itself and deep poverty ever since, and that was 23 years ago.
Whether the intervention weakens leadership or strengthens it, the balance of power in the Middle East has been dismantled for the foreseeable future. For TVP World, I'm Aisha Badja.
Ukraine says Russia has signaled it would accept US-backed security guarantees for a post-war settlement. President Zelensky's chief of staff, Kyrylo Budanov, revealed that during last week's Geneva talks, Moscow indicated an openness to the American proposal, even as Washington urges both sides toward a deal. The discussions remain difficult with no breakthrough yet, and Kyiv warns it is under growing pressure to compromise. Budanov also stressed that Russia has not agreed to a potential Zelensky-Putin summit, despite earlier suggestions from US mediators. With Iran under attack, Russia finds itself in an even more precarious position as another one of its allies is being targeted and weakened by the US. How dangerous could the fall of the Islamic Republic of Iran be for Moscow?
One of Russia's closest allies is now under pressure. The Iranian regime is facing a serious threat as the United States and Israel signaled that its military operation is also aimed at toppling the government in Tehran. Kyiv has signaled political backing for the operation. Foreign Minister Andriy Sybiha called the Iranian regime a constant aggressor in the region.
The Iranian regime has been abusing and terrorizing their region for decades, financing militants that bring instability to other countries, abusing its own people.
Iran remains one of Russia's key allies, especially since the start of Moscow's full-scale invasion of Ukraine. In the words of President Zelenskyy, the Islamic regime has brought so much evil to Ukraine.
It is fair to give the Iranian people a chance to get rid of the terrorist regime, to free themselves, and to guarantee security to all nations who have suffered from terror originating in Iran.
Ukraine knows the bitter taste of Iranian terror. Tehran supplied Russia early in the war with Shahed drones for Moscow's relentless strikes against Ukraine. More than 57,000 of these drones have struck Ukraine over 4 years. Presenting one to the Polish parliament, the Ukrainian ambassador to Poland said he hoped Islamic regime would be held accountable as a war criminal.
Iranian specialists have been training Russian specialists. They also launched first drones as well against Ukraine. So Iran is also co-responsible for these mass drone attacks against Ukrainian civilian objects.
Meanwhile, the Kremlin is watching nervously. Russia condemned the strikes, calling them an unprovoked act of armed aggression against a sovereign state, despite its own unprovoked invasion of Ukraine. Experts say the fall of Iranian regime is real danger for Moscow.
So, officially, Iran is a Russian ally, second in importance only to China. There is deeply established military, technological, and political cooperation between the two countries.
But experts say Moscow's support will likely be only in words, and there are two reasons for that.
Russia, in particular, doesn't really have anything to help with. Everything they have is tied up in the war against Ukraine. That is, they cannot spare any air defense systems or missiles. The second point, they don't want to engage in direct confrontation with Trump's USA, as they are still playing a game with the US.
Iran could become the third major ally lost by Moscow after the Assad regime in Syria fell in 2024 and Venezuela's Nicolas Maduro was captured in January, leaving the Putin regime increasingly isolated. Anastasia Yanchenko, TVP World.
The chair of the Foreign Affairs Committee of the Polish Parliament, Paweł Kowal, said that from the standpoint of Polish national security, the matter of war in Iran is simple. Anything that stops the Iranian regime from selling drones to Russia is going to benefit Poland's security.
The most important thing is that this attack does not lead to a larger war, that it does not spread further. As far as Iran is concerned, the matter is quite simple from the point of view of Poland's security. Iran manufactures weapons and supplies them to Russia. Therefore, it is crucial for Poland's security to stop Iran. We are doing everything we can to ensure the safety of Polish citizens. Currently, there are no Polish citizens in Iran. The Prime Minister is on standby, as are all institutions, to prevent the situation from escalating. We must remember that Iran has shown itself to be an ally of Russia in recent years. Therefore, it is crucial to take every possible measure to stop Iranian support for Russia.
And with this, we conclude our news update. World Talks coming up next.